Hello everybody, it's Wendy. Welcome. Today I'm going to be making a card with the Leave a Little Sparkle stamp set, which is gorgeous, and some of my favorite color combinations. We've got the Poppy Parade, Mango Melody, Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, and Coastal Cabana. And the little metal wooden things you see here are from Tim Holtz Ranger ink, I think, or something. They're ink blending tools. I just personally love these because I can do a lighter touch with them, and so I use these versus a stamp and sponge. However, if you're new to ink blending, for years all I used was a stamp and sponge. Literally years. It was only in the last year or so that I started using these things. So please know that if you just want to spend $3.50, or they might be $4 or $5 now, I can't remember. It used to be $3.50. You can get 3 sponges, cut them into 4s, and use sponges for this, and you will get awesome results also. This just is more comfortable for my hand, and I really love doing ink blending, so I use these. I do it a lot. So okay, a couple disclaimers. First and foremost, this video is a little bit lengthy, and I do chit chat and share stories and stuff like that. So if that's not your jam, it's totally okay. You might want to just click off this video now and, not hang with me. That's okay too. Number 2 is that I am recording this video way in advance of when it actually will release. And the reason for that is because the day that this video releases, I will be getting extremely close to going on a trip to Europe, and I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks. I'm going to be turning on my out of office responder on my email. So if you email me, you will receive that. And my backup is my sister, who you can email directly, and her email address will be provided. She will be holding the fort down for me while I'm gone. So if you have a stamping emergency that cannot wait until, closer to the end of July, then you will want to definitely contact her. Okay, I am using these ink blending tools, and as you can see, I'm going over and over and over again. And a huge tip for ink blending that was like a game changer for me, and I learned it from Laura Basson, is to use a really light hand when you're ink blending, not to push too hard. In fact, you can see down in my green where I pushed too hard and it left little marks in my green, and I don't like that at all. It really bothers me, but there's not a lot you can do about it once you've done it. So, and that is one of the drawbacks to these tools, I will tell you. If you're not really even-handed and careful, you will have that happen. These are actually a little harder to use than a sponge, as far as there's a little learning curve to them, like everything, right? So I'm just continuing to work this color back and forth in hopes to get that smoother blend. So you can see the top 3 colors are blended so beautifully and smooth, and then the bottom one is not so much. So I decided I wanted to cut this down to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I ended up taking 1/8 of an inch off of each side, because whenever you do ink blending, it's going to be darker right on the edges than it is where you've blended. Of course, that's because the sponge is moving over that area and it's catching more of the ink. So if you want all the edges to look even, this is a way that you can do it. Start with your paper a little bit larger and then trim it down. And then you can save those little trimmed down strips for a future project, because they're really beautiful as well. I'm going to then take an aqua painter and a clear block with some water and kind of just flick water across this, and it will lighten the ink in the areas where the water gets flicked. And so I love this effect. It creates a really cool kind of I don't know, it just gives a little bit of texture to the paper and breaks up some of the ink blending, and I just always have really liked how it looks. So I did that, and then we are going to move on to the next steps for this card. FYI, because this is a stitched circle, by the way, from the Stitch Shapes dies, and I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink to stamp the head of this gorgeous unicorn. Isn't her hair stunning? So, FYI, there could be awesome Stampin' Up! Stuff happening right now. But because I'm recording this video so far in advance, I don't know about it. So usually when there's a new month, Stampin' Up! Sometimes does like special offers or different things like that. If you want to know what's current and going on with me, make sure to check my Facebook, because I'm going to try to at least do Facebook while I'm gone. Don't know how current it'll be, but I'm going to do my very best. I will be 10 hours ahead of the time zone I'm in right now, so that should be interesting as well. So yeah, this is just a whole new experience for me. Traveling abroad, leaving the country. I'm frankly freaking out about it a little bit, but I know I'll be fine because I always have the big man by my side. Not my husband, but I mean God. So I think I'm cool. Like, I know he's always watching over me. So I'm not too worried, but I am a little worried just because I've never done it before. And anytime we have a new experience, I think, there's always a little bit of, there's all kinds of emotions. There's anticipation, there's nervousness, excitement, anxiety, just kind of the unknowns. And so, yeah, but it's going to be good. I'm very, very excited. Overall, I'm very excited. So I decided to use the same colors that I used on the card in the unicorn's horn. And I'm leaving the rest of the unicorn alone. I'm not doing anything. There's something I just super love about pop of color with like black and white. And honestly, I think I've shared this before. Like, I could easily make all of my cards like this, just very bright with like black and white. It's my favorite. And I don't do that because I think I've said before, like, there's so much to share and learn and talk about. So I force myself to do other techniques and make other things. Honestly though, I could make every card with ink blending and like black and white and then 3D objects, and I would be perfectly happy with my life. I love 3D backgrounds, or 3D backgrounds, good grief, 3D projects. Those are my other favorite things to do. So right here I used my embossing buddy to cover that black cardstock, which is like a talcum powder to prevent a bunch of sticking from your embossing powder. I'm using white embossing powder. And I will tell you, this is actually not Stampin' Up! Embossing powder. It is Hero Arts. And I use Stampin' Up's embossing powder for when I want to emboss something like with a vanilla color. For whatever reason, Stampin' Up's white embossing powder ends up coming out a little bit more like vanilla. And so I don't like that because I'm super psychotic about things like that. Like, it just drove me nuts. So, however, if I'm making a card that has very vanilla cardstock, then the Stampin' Up! White embossing powder is what I reach for. So it just kind of all depends on what your needs are. So I've dried that with the heat tool, or hit it with the heat tool to make it stick and melt. Basically, that's what embossing powder does, is you heat it up and it kind of like melts and stays in place, and then you're able to use that image, and it's raised, so that's kind of cool. So I'm going to add this little basic black strip right here on the front of this. This is cut at 1 inch by 4 inches. That basic black cardstock behind my rainbow pattern there is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I'm making this card for my daughter. So the title of this video is Leave a Little Sparkle Before I Go, and that was just a play on the name of the stamp set and the fact that I'm leaving. So I bought her this really cool sketchbook. My daughter loves to draw, And I bought her own set of Prisma color pencils, which are kind of a expensive set of color pencils. So I bought her those and a sketchbook, and I made her this card, and I made her a little packet with some candies in it. And I'm going to leave it in her suitcase because she's going to be going to Orlando while I'm gone. So, yeah, first time our family has been apart like this. Little nervous, little excited. It's going to be interesting. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Shop with me at shoploveandstampin.com, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Bye.